I hate power creep. I hated when Sumeru was released and I had to get a bunch of new characters just to get the new element. I hated when Farina was released and she made HP manipulation become the meta. And I absolutely refuse to buy into all the phlogiston based Natlin characters. So when Nod Krai released with the brand new lunar reactions, I thought I could just ignore the meta and rely on my C6 Arlecchino to carry me through. I could not do that. The Abyss beat my ass like a Cherokee drum, so I decided enough's enough. I wanted to get my hands on the new lunar reactions, but I wanted to do it with one character. You see, only specific characters can cause lunar reactions, and each one can only proc a single type. The only exception to this is Columbina, who can proc all 3 types of lunar reactions. My greedy little free-to-play mind saw this and thought, perfect. I'll just get Columbina and she'll carry me through the rest of the lunar meta. Is it a good plan? I don't know, probably not, but that's exactly what I'm going to be testing today, because not only will I be raising and building Columbina, I'll also be taking her into the Abyss and the Theater for some immediate testing, but I won't be able to do any of that until I actually get her, so let's travel back in time to the mystical land of Wednesday the 14th. I'm at 4 pity on the standard banner, and 0 pity on the main banner. Let's see. So this is 10 pulls in. This is 20 pulls in. Wow. This is 30. This is 40. Then this is 50. I was saying that like it was going to be the last one. This is 60. So this is 70. Alright, and now this will be 80. Oh. We're guaranteed to get a 5-star this pull. So, let's see. Alright, there you go. 81. Wow, that's quite a 10 pull. So this is 14. Imagine. This is 3, so 4, 5, 6. This is 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 pulls in, baby. After successfully stealing a moon, it was time to build her, and that's where I ran into a small hiccup. I didn't pre-farm anything for Columbina because I'm currently using all my resin on my Inazuma project. For those of you not familiar, I'm going to build every single Inazuman character I own, so naturally that takes a lot of resin. Building Columbina was supposed to take a backseat to that, but I ended up finishing another project that changed my timetable, and that was 90ing every character again. Columbina was the only character I had left standing in my way of completing that goal, so it was time to farm. With the release of a new character, all domains are temporarily unlocked, so I figured I could wait until the next week to gather the weapon and skill materials. I used the quick start function to fight Dotori for the weekly drop and first time rewards. I didn't bother recording Thursday through Monday because, like I said earlier, I wasn't actually planning on building Columbina just yet. Over that time, I finished gathering her local specialty, I also farmed enemy materials for her new weapon. I also learned rather quickly that this new area was basically a more deadly version of Dragon Spine. Are you kidding me? 4 days before the stream, and I decided it was time to start farming for Columbina. My goal was to use as little fragile resin as possible, so after I took a look at how much resin-based materials I needed, I realized I actually didn't need as much as I had initially thought. Since I was limited by how many weekly drops I had gotten, I was only going to be able to 199 her talents, and I had just enough books to do that already. In terms of weapon materials, I only needed a little bit, as even 5-star weapons aren't actually that expensive when it comes to resin cost. I used 3 of my condensed resin on her weapon domain, and after crafting the materials into their respective rarities, I had more than enough. To fully ascend a character, you need 46 boss drops, and I was starting off with 6 from Durin's story quest the previous patch. I used my daily resin plus 1 transient resin to do 6 boss runs, netting me an additional 19 radiant antlers. 25 out of 46 meant I would need at max 7 more runs, or about 2 days worth of resin. Finally, I used my last 2 condensed resin on her talent domain, and technically I didn't need to actually do this this, but in the future I will need more of it, so I felt like it was a good time to do it. It was at this point though that I made my biggest mistake for this video. Like I said in the intro, I was prepping multiple projects at a time, and after spending all my resin on Columbina, I 90'd the rest of my characters. This took me down from over 8 million mora down to about 150,000. It's been almost an entire year since I've leveled a character, and I had completely forgotten just how expensive it actually is. Honestly, it's not a huge deal, it just meant that now I would have to dip into my precious reserves of fragile resin to farm mora. For day 2, I only had 180 resin to work with, so I spent 160 of it on 4 boss runs, getting 12 more antlers for my treble. The last 20 resin went to mora since I was going to need about 5 million total. Due to my mistake the previous day, I knew I was going to need to use fragile resin on Friday, so I took a look at how much I was going to need. 71 runs. I didn't like the answer, so I decided to spend the next couple hours blowing through the Archon quest to get the free 6 Radiant Antlers. It was a pretty good quest with lots of stuff going on, but with 6 more antlers acquired, I only needed 1 more boss run to get the final 3. Luckily, because the Archon quest was so long, I had just enough resin to do it that night. So for day 3, the only thing I had left to pre-farm was mora. I used my 140 resin on ley lines, but I knew I was going to need as much as I could get, so I did something a bit drastic. I decided to do the photo taking quest just to get the extra mora, but what should have been a quick 30-minute event turned into an hour-long ordeal because 5 minutes into the event, I was quest locked by the witch's homework questline. I was able to complete the prologue really quickly, and I blew through the event to gather my measly 100,000 mora, but I decided it was finally time to do my homework. And while the witch's quests were okay and generally pretty fun, I'm sure that you've seen them a million times, so I'm just going to show you some bullet points of what I thought was interesting. We revisit the door to Conria with the false sky getting mentioned a bunch of times. Mona still hates Barbeloff.
What are you laughing at, you old hag?
Sucrose's new voice actor sounds really hot.
I should make a few adjustments. As for the potion I need to make. Oh, Traveler, Paimon.
Wait a minute.
What brings you here?
The wolves from Razor's Wolfpack got redesigned from 5 years ago, and this Sealy leads people to treasure using the mora they received while ghost riding from bodies they've possessed. Day 4 was the big day, so I started off by double checking the materials I was going to need. After reading through her kit and searching around for recommendations, I finally settled on building Columbina on the Silken Moon's Serenade set. It was highly recommended over the new set, and as a bonus, I'd also be farming the Night of the Skies Unveiling set for Zabai in the future. My goal for stats was to get as much ER and crit as possible, along with 35,000 HP, as that is apparently the sweet spot for her damage. So with her build in mind, I took a quick stock of my resin situation, and I know you can't see it because of the camera, but I had 242 fragile resin to start with. 14 of those combined with my daily 160 resin would net me enough mora for the build outside of artifacts, so I spent a bit of time farming that. Once I had enough mora, I began leveling her, and that's when I realized building her was going to be even easier than I thought. Oh, she ascends with crit rate! That's gonna make building her a lot easier. Oh, I'm excited. Most 5-star characters in the game will ascend with crit as their ascension stat, and I knew this, but I wasn't sure if Columbina would be ascending with crit damage or crit rate. Since her weapon at max level gives 88 crit damage, any amount of free crit rate allows for much more flexibility with bad rolls, and that in turn means I have to spend less resin on it. By level 90, her crit rate ended up being at 24.2%, meaning with a crit rate circlet, she was already well above the 50% baseline. Next up, I took her weapon to level 90, and with no artifacts on, she had a crit line of 24.2 to 138.2, which is frankly disgusting. It didn't take long to max out her skill and her ultimate, and once that was done, all that was left to do was gamble. I had 16 of these domain reliquaries from the Spiral Abyss that I wanted to open before spending any resin. I got nothing, so I popped 5 fragile resin, condensed it, and went to work. Wait for— oh! I just came. That is near perfect peace right there. The only way this could be better if this was HP.
I wanna take it all in, I'm falling. The cityscape by night, wanna catch in my photos. Where you go, every corner twice as bright. They'll be my treasures forever. When I can't hold you tight, I'll see the Stockholm lights. The Stockholm lights, the stack on
Ooh, god, I'm white. 600 resin later, and I went to work upgrading what I had. Since Columbina doesn't want a hydro damage goblet due to the lunar reactions, my goal was either HP crit rate or ER HP crit rate, depending on how many stats I needed. I didn't have any circlets I was super excited about, so I stole Sarah's circlet as it had a lot of useless HP rolls on it. I did get a double crit flower and feather, so I started off the build by rolling those, and as you might expect, it went poorly. Because based on how these rolls go is whether or not I'm going to go. That's about as bad as it can get. We're gonna reshape that because I can't be. Yeah, this is just better in every way, shape, or form. It also roll pretty bad. That defense roll hurt more than you could ever know. Oh! I'm out of Mora. After actually running out of Mora for the first time in a long while, I spent another 300 resin on ley lines before coming back and finishing off the feather. Ooh, not bad. That's a solid piece. After revisiting her build with those 3 new pieces, I decided it was best to go for an ER Sands and an HP Goblet. I didn't have great pieces for either, but I took a chance on this HP Goblet. We need 2 pieces, right? So we need 2 good pieces. We need a good Sands. Oh wait, I need to check on her ER. Her ER is 149. I think I'm gonna do an HP Goblet and an ER Sands, but I don't like either of these ones, and I can only craft one. What's her crit at already? It's at 70 to 186. That's actually not bad crit. Okay, I'm gonna take the risk and roll this one. I know it's gonna roll into EM and defense. Okay, you know what? We'll take that. It ended up rolling decent enough for me, so I whipped out the transmuter for my final piece. Ooh, this is pretty good. If it had, the only way it could be better is if it had flat HP. So that's pretty much good. Don't do it. I know you want to do it, game. I know you think it would be really funny, but please don't do it. Okay, there you go. That's good. We're not gonna bother reshaping that. Cool. Okay, so we have. Sometimes I forget just how broken having a 5-star character with a crit ascension stat and crit damage weapon is. Because what do you mean with these dog shit artifacts? We're at 75 to 200. With 200 ER. Hold on. This is disgusting. 33,000 HP with 75 to 200 crit and 200 ER. That is nasty. That is disgusting. This is a nasty Columbina. Holy moly. She's gonna go so hard. Oh, damn. Okay. Crit damage from lunar reaction increases by 60%. Are you guys excited to try out Columbina? Because I sure as hell am excited to try out Columbina. Before hopping into some endgame modes, I wanted to see a little sneak peek of what the new lunar reactions were gonna hit, so I revisited the tomb of everybody's favorite Dorito. 12k on the skill. Baby. Okay, let's see. How do we remove this invisibility again? Is it like this? There we go. Okay. So I also wanted to try out Lunar Charge 10k proc, 12k, 14k. Not bad. Okay, let's see. Lunar Crystallize about 7,500, 9,500 there. The Verdant Dew is pretty low, but I think that's just because she's not on EM. Somebody's used my characters. How do I tell? Arlecchino, 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 Arlecchino. Every single time. I mean, duh. It's so funny. Only one person's... Dude, this person 12 flowered? You're welcome. You're welcome. I wanted to try out Columbina in the Lunar Theater even though I didn't really need her. This season's elements are arguably my most powerful, being Electro, Hydro, and Pyro. Due to that, I only ended up using Columbina during the 3rd boss fight, the Knuckle Duckle. Honestly, I couldn't really tell in the moment if she was helping me clear it quicker, but the Lunar Charge blocks were hitting around 20 to 40k, so that was pretty cool. I just didn't... I'm not at all used to having lunar reactions because I murdered that thing. I know I don't have the characters to make her like really work, but I'm excited. This is where I failed. I failed my run last time because Columbina died. We'll try it. I'm down to like do a couple runs of this. I don't think we're gonna get it first run, but I'm just gonna try it. Now I'm gonna skip the first half because it's a C6 Arlecchino, it's really not that interesting. The first chamber was a bit awkward as it's been a long time since I've used Raiden and Miko on the same team. Since my Miko is C1, she always ends up taking up just a little bit too much field time with her skill reset, but I've also never really practiced with her to make her feel a bit more fluid, so I know it's a skill issue. I also somehow forgot that the Lightkeeper has the Wild Hunt second HP bar, and I started freaking out a little bit even though I had over a minute left. I also unironically have no idea how this boss works, as I've only ever fought him with Arlecchino and skipped his mechanics, so when I saw that HP bar instantly heal, I was very not okay with that. Even so, I was able to finish the floor really easily. The second floor was the big reason I decided to wait to retry this abyss until I got Columbina, as this stupid cactus pisses me off. I've been able to clear him with a Raiden Miko team before, but I had to retry multiple times during that to perfect my rotation as I didn't have the DPS to kill it in one cycle. I was hoping with Columbina she would either up my DPS enough to one cycle him or speed up the hat section so 2 phases wouldn't take me too long. It ended up being the former as I had more than enough damage and ended up running face first into a couple shots because I was too eager to finish it in one cycle. I'm also maybe wondering if the Stygian Onslaught's version of the guy was a lot harder than Spiral Abyss's. God damn, I have never had an easier time with that thing, ever. Lunar Charge is kind of broken. The final floor was the Knuckle Duckle, and I wasn't too worried about him. During my fight, my Columbina was able to burst on rotation easily every single time, and even after accidentally killing off my Miko, I was still able to clear him with 40 seconds to spare. But yeah, that had to have been one of the easiest clears I've ever done in my life, honestly. It cost me 1 Dust of Enlightenment, 2 Sanctifying Elixir, and like 20 Fragile Resin, but we did it. So after building and playing with Columbina, I can confidently say I still have no idea if she was worth skipping every Nod Krai unit for. I still hate the fact that lunar reactions are character locked, so I'm happy I have Columbina to access them, even though I know I'm missing a big portion of her kit since she's the one causing the reactions and not buffing them. But as my goal with Columbina was to be able to interact with all these lunar shielding mechanics, I think she was more than worth it. Just having Columbina triggering Lunar Charge on these Wild Hunt enemies made fighting them so much easier since it cut down on how much DPS I needed to kill them. In fact, during the Abyss, I was able to move my Arlecchino from the second half to the first half since I didn't need her absurd DPS to just blow through these mechanics. It may sound crazy, but for a while now, I've been toying with the idea of saving up to C6 a new character just so I could completely ignore mechanics for the endgame like I've been doing with Arlecchino. My account and my mechanical skills are vastly underdeveloped, and I've been really struggling to clear stuff like the Abyss even with Arlecchino, as I just don't have the ability to clear that second half in time, even though Arlecchino's taking less than a minute to clear the first half. Now that I have Columbina and I can more easily access these buffed mechanics, I think I can put off that extremely expensive idea and focus on my larger goal of maxing every character I own, and also saving up for characters I want in the future. So if you made it this far, I'm just gonna go ahead and assume you enjoy the video, so I humbly ask you to please just let me know. I especially would love any feedback on the editing of this video, as my goal is always to improve with each video I make. But I never like taking up too much of your time, so I think that's about it. That's all I got for you. As always, thank you for your time, see you in the next one, and have a wonderful day.
That won't ever change. Yeah, sometimes I'm mad, sometimes I'm okay. Yeah, I know I'll have what I want someday. I need my space now so I can feel nothing. I live this nightmare so I can be something. Yeah. I do what I love and hope you will love me. Yeah. I face this